What's up, guys? It's me again, Christian Rodriguez, and today I kind of want to talk about a bit of a different subject, right? And it's about sports, right? Like watching sports, like watching professional sports. And the reason why I wanted to talk about the subject is because, like I grew up watching sports. I grew up watching. I'm from New York, so I grew up a big Mets fan, and I also grew up a Jets fan. I know, sad life, but I grew up supporting both of those teams, right? And even had season tickets at some point for both teams. Most recently, the Jets, right? And the thing that I've noticed, right, from being in Chicago, right? For those of you guys who don't know me, I moved from New York to Chicago in July. Back in July, I moved here to Chicago. And yeah, I don't have a TV. I don't have any friends. I don't have any family here. I just moved here just to focus on really getting my business off the ground and yeah, and creating content. And the thing that I noticed about it, right, about sports is that it's like I've noticed it before, but it's a complete I think it's a complete distraction, right? And this wasn't easy for me to say at first because I would always make an excuse, "Oh, I could do both." It's very hard to do both because the thing about sports is that it kind of hooks you, right? It's very there's always a sporting event going on every season, all the 4 seasons, right? There's always a sport going on, right? If baseball season's done, football season's on. If football season's done, the NBA's on, right? If the NBA's done, the World Cup's going to be on, right? There's always going to be something going on. And I'm not saying don't watch sports, right? Because sure, I'll still watch sports, but I don't since I don't have a TV, I don't I can't just go and be like, oh, let me go watch NFL Sunday. Let me watch all the NFL games, right? On Sunday. I can't just do that, right? And it's just it's the thing about sports too is that I think a lot of people like they use it to escape maybe their life, right? They use it to escape. And I get it, it's entertainment, right? But people like treat it beyond entertainment. Like it's a very tribalistic type of environment, right? You guys are wearing the same colors, you're cheering for the same team. If a player catches a game-winning ball, it's everyone celebrates. That guy's viewed as a hero. But if he drops that same exact ball, he's viewed as a villain, and everyone hates him, right? That's like an example of it. But the point is, right? Sports is kind of designed to get you emotionally invested into it, right? And even I noticed this with myself, right? Like earlier in my 20s, like I would get emotional. I remember I was arguing with some stranger, and I was like, wait, why am I? And I thought about it afterwards, and I'm like, why did I argue with some random guy at the Jets game? Right? What's the point? I was like, it's like worst case scenario, we get into a fight, and then what? We both end up in jail, or someone gets hurt. It's like there's no point, and these teams are billion-dollar industries. They're billion-dollar companies basically, and they could give zero shits what happens to you as long as you pay them money, right? You're buying their merchandise, you buy their tickets, you're spending money on stuff. And that's the thing, like these jerseys aren't cheap. They're what, 150 $200. And I've spent a fortune. I spent a fortune on shirts, right? And I know some guys are going to say that, oh, I wouldn't want another man's name on my back. And I get the idea of it, right? I do get it. I don't want to say that, but I do want to say that it's like if you want to build like a different type of life, you cannot you cannot overly consume sports. It's just a complete distraction, right? And I say this because I notice I was able to achieve more, right? I've made more progress since I moved here to Chicago, when I didn't have easy access to sports versus when I was at home living with parents and I had to, I was watching whatever game was on the TV, right, in the living room. And it's very hard to avoid. And the thing is, it's not just the sports itself, it's also the media around the sports, right? So it's okay to listen to a podcast every now and then. But the issue when you listen to a podcast or you listen to like a radio show or you listen to like WFAN in New York, every city has their version of it. Or you watch First Take, like all those ESPN debate shows. Like the guys are arguing about, oh, that was a pass interference or that was a foul. That was a yellow card, right? Or like they're going back and forth and one guy supporting one side and the other was supporting another side. It's an act, right? At the end of the day, because that's what entertains people. But I just notice it makes adults. It's like making adults arguing about senseless shit, right? Like you should be focusing on building a better version of yourself, right? I think sports is almost like making you drown on someone else's success. Because listen, I would be happy, right, if the Mets won the World Series, right? If they suddenly won the World Series, the baseball championship, for those of you guys who don't know, I'd be super happy if they won, right? But at the same time, I won't cry over it. I'd be like, that's freaking amazing. That's awesome, right? And then I'll probably have to move on in my life because if you think about it, what other benefit do I have besides a dopamine hit, right? Like what benefit am I gonna have if I'm following every single game and then I'm getting emotionally invested into it and I'm celebrating like if I won? Because at the end of the day, they win, right? We didn't win. I didn't win. They won. Because when people say we won, and I'm just like, you did not win. They won. They're the ones who are going to get paid. They're the ones who are going to get more famous. They're probably the ones that are, they're the ones who are going to reap the benefits of the parade. You, sure, you're a fan of the team. You're a supporter, but you're not part of the team, right? So, I used to say we. That's something that I don't say anymore because it's just something that it's true. Like I didn't put into work. I'm not part of that team. I'm not the one training for whatever sport or whatever championship they're going for. That's the team, right? The guys who are actually getting paid, the guys in the organization. Those are the guys who are getting what they deserve, right? And that's the thing. Sports is, as I said, it's a huge distraction, right? Because it almost gives you the dopamine hit that you won something, but you won nothing. That's the point of what I'm trying to make, right? Even if you're a New England Patriots fan and you're watching this, right? I know they had they had two dynasties, right? They had the Tom Brady. They had 20 years of greatness with Tom Brady, right? And Bill Belichick. But at the same time, did any of those did most of those Patriot fans did they benefit besides gambling? I'm not talking about gambling, but did their life change by it? Probably not. It's probably just nothing. It's entertainment, and that's the point. You have to treat sports like entertainment, right? Like if you watch a regular TV show, right? It's great. Oh, that was a great TV show. Okay, I'm going to go back and focus on my business, or I'm going to go back and chase my own excellence, right? Excellence of my own. That it's okay to watch sports, but if you let it consume your life, and you're putting it on your social media, and I'm talking about adults. Kids have an excuse. I get it. Kids, it's their life. Sports for children, but for adults, it's like, grow up. Like you don't need to announce that you're a Chicago Cubs fan, right? And you're a diehard Chicago Cubs fan on your social media, and you put it when they acquire a new player. Like you don't need to do that. That's kids could do that. Adults, it looks a little too much, and yeah, you don't. It's going to save you money. It's going to save you time. It's going to remember I talked about saving your energy. I made a video on it, right? It's gonna save you energy, because if you're focusing on debate shows and you're focusing on, oh, that was the wrong call at the end of the game, you're just wasting energy on that stuff, right? It is what it is. Your team wins, that's great. If they lose, so what? I'll move on. And yeah, like as an adult, like I made this realization in my 20s, right? A little later in my 20s, like my mid 20s, I started making this realization with sports. But before that, I was, like a diehard sports fan, watching every NFL game, spending all my Sundays watching. If they had a London game at 9 a.m., I'll watch the 9 a.m. London game. And I'll be up until like midnight or 11:30 watching the Sunday night football game. Like it's just a waste of time. Like I wasted an entire day. I used to waste like an entire Sunday just watching sports and eating junk food. And yeah, there's no benefit to it. That's the point of what I'm telling you. Like I'm not telling you not to watch sports. Like the World Cup is on in the U.S. in June, right? I plan on watching it, right? I'm gonna find a way to watch it. Maybe it's gonna be the summertime, so it's gonna be a good excuse to leave the house more often, right? But I'm not gonna make it a part of my life. I'm not gonna just let it consume my entire life. Like I'm gonna be focused on my goals and me, right? And sports is like a side piece. It's like a side. It's like a little accessory, right? It's a little accessory. It's nice to have, but if I don't have it, it's not a big deal. And that's how you have to treat it, right? If you're thinking about leaving your hometown, right? You shouldn't make the excuse, well, I'm a diehard Knicks fan and I don't want to leave the Knicks behind. I don't want to abandon them. It's like, dude, just fucking move out. If you don't like where you live, then leave. The New York Knicks shouldn't be the reason why you stay in a place that you hate, or a place that you want, or you want to change the scenery, right? And because I've made this, I remember I started with this, making this excuse, right? I don't want to betray my team, but if you think about it, the St. Louis Rams and the San Diego Chargers, um, I bet you those fans felt pretty betrayed by their teams by leaving them. So just leave. Don't if you got to move out, don't worry about the fucking sports team. Worst case scenario, you make it you make a trip on it. You go back, you make a trip, and you go watch a game, or you go an away game. There's always a problem. There's always a solution to the problem, right? It's not that big of a deal. You might not even care. That's the funny part. Especially when your life is in a better situation, you probably will rarely care. And that's the point that I want to drill through your guys' heads, because once sports becomes more than just entertainment and it becomes just a part of your life, it takes up all your energy. It's just going to be a waste of your time. It's going to be a waste. You're going to be broke. Especially if you're not making any, like if you don't like where you are in life, then it's going to keep you there. It's going to keep you stuck on the couch, right? Because it's like I say, the world is full of noise, right? And sports is part of that noise. It's a complete part of that noise. If you look at the culture around sports too, people are getting drunk. They're getting into fights at the stadium, right? They're getting to fights. They're eating shit hot dogs with French fries and beers. Like like I'm gonna be honest. I remember I went to a Jets game last year, and I was looking around. I was just like, I don't really want to be around these people anymore, because people are just like screaming and fighting, and just like adults. I'm not talking about children either. I'm talking about like grown adults, like are screaming at other adults, like sit down, and they're drunk, and or they're screaming onto the field, like if the player is gonna listen to them. But yeah, like that's the type of people that sports breeds, right? And I'm not gonna say cut off sports, because I still will watch sports, but I don't make it my life. And from time to time, since I don't have a TV, I'll have to watch highlights. Not always. I only watched one Jets game this year, right? Plus they suck, so it was easier. But like just keep that in mind, because this this comes from someone who really like grew up a very big sports fan. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm gonna keep creating more content. Subscribe and take care.